Hello, everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of Galarian Chronicles with your host, me, Sultai. This is a new series that I'm starting that showcases my particular run of Pokemon Sword and Shield. In specific, I'll be playing the Pokemon Shield version, and maybe later on in the series, I can also start a new run on Pokemon Sword. But for today's episode, my goal is really to introduce you to some of the initial gameplay that I have of Pokemon Shield, which is the specific version of my initial run. But at the same time, I also wanted to showcase some of the controls, new features, some of the user interface, and I'll also be showcasing some of the changes that I did to the default settings of the game, which for me really will be helping the gameplay for this particular run of Pokemon Shield. And also, I'd hope to be able to catch my first Pokemon. Uh, so let's get right down to it already. So, Pokemon Shield and Pokemon Sword, these are the new games for the 8th generation. And I was only able to get a copy of these games yesterday after work. I waited for 2 hours at the local game store just to be able to get a copy of the double pack, which contains both games and also contains some codes for some Dynamax crystals. I'm not so sure what those are, but maybe I'm going to find out soon enough. And usually, I do spend some time researching the Pokemon games that I'm starting to play, but it just so happens that for this particular generation, I wanted to stay a little bit hyped. I wanted to bring a lot of surprise and new experiences to my run through of the game, so I didn't really look for game facts or guides, as well as not really going through too much of Reddit. But it doesn't mean that I have not heard of the various controversies that surround this particular game. I've heard of what people say about Dexit, the removal of many of the older Pokemon from the game code itself. And I think that to some extent, the issues really became some of the important talking points in relation to the game. But I think that despite all of that, this game still has a lot of potential visually from a visual standpoint. I mean, it's really really good. I'm really enjoying so far what I'm seeing. I enjoyed the introductory CG, and I think that I'm bringing a lot of positive energy into this run that I'm doing. So first and foremost, I'd like to showcase to you some settings that you may want to change at the beginning of your run of Pokemon Sword and Shield. Press the X button so that you'll be able to open up the options menu. And here there are lots of various settings that you can change, and for the most part, these are the usual ones that you find in every Pokemon game. I think that the very important one that has an impact on the gameplay itself is the battle style. So, just to tell you a bit about what battle style is. Battle style is the option that lets you choose if you want to switch Pokemon after an opponent's Pokemon faints or not. So, here, I think that when you are deciding whether to choose switch or set, the impact really is on the level of the various battles that you fight with trainers along the way in your journey in a Pokemon game. So the default is the switch setting, and the switch setting is the one that allows you to switch Pokemon after an opposing Pokemon faints. And this one really makes the game a lot easier, primarily because switching every time an opponent faints already gives you a sizable advantage when it comes to typing. The thing is, the game tells you which next Pokemon will be coming up from the opposing team, which allows you to really prepare a counter attack of some sort of way to find counters for the opposing typing and moves that the opposing trainer has. And this one really makes the game a lot easier. So for me, I'd prefer the other alternative option, which is set, which makes it such that you don't allow yourself to switch Pokemon after the opponent's Pokemon faints. So I think that this one really is a gameplay change that increases the difficulty of the game, but not in a way that is disruptive to the experience, but more of really training you to be more, should I say, prudent with your choices with regards to battling. And over time, especially if you decide to actually participate in competitive battling, this is already something that's a good training for something of that sort. Another important option that I'd like to change is this autosave feature. So one thing that you'll find in Pokemon Sword and Shield is that the game automatically saves for you. But I think that for the most part, I'd prefer to be able to save the game myself whenever I want to. I think that the capacity to determine for yourself when to save or not is really important, because there are situations wherein you'd like to experiment with various parts of the game, especially if you haven't gone through the game yet, and you may make decisions that you end up wanting to rewind. And if the game just saves automatically, then the tendency is that if you do want to rewind to a particular point of your gameplay, then you may not be able to do that because the game has saved over that already. So I think that autosave is a very good feature. It's something that's helpful for most people who may not be fully aware of their saving. And I think that for other people, however, like me, I'd prefer to be able to save the game on my own accord, on my own self-determined sort of pace. And those are the two options that I think are very important. The other options are definitely there that you can change as well. One other specific option that I'm interested to find out about is the in relation to boxes. So I think I'll be able to find out about that a bit later on. So let's go and start the gameplay for this. And we find that our mom is telling us to go to our room and look for our bag in our hat. I think this is it. So you grab your dad's old bag. Well, that's a pretty nice look. Honestly, this is something that I'd probably wear myself in real life. Look at that bag though, it's really interesting. It's so big. But that beanie, I can see myself wearing something like that. So it says here, Hop is waiting for you. Better head outside. So I'm guessing there are these transition screens between moving from one area to the next, or maybe just entering or exiting buildings. So these are some of the new Pokemon that are part of the game. This is a Wooloo. Hey, you silly Wooloo, I see what you're up to. Don't go using tackle on the fencing. Everyone knows there are scary Pokemon living in the Slumbering Weald, so I'm guessing that there's this area called the Slumbering Weald somewhere nearby. So now our next task, I guess, is to follow Hop to his house. So let's go there right now. And so far, the visuals, the aesthetic of the game is really interesting. I find that it's really nice. I can see that there's a certain aesthetic that they were trying to go for when they were designing the game. So let's go into Hop's house. So at the beginning of the game, there's this scene where the champion, Leon, is actually going to be on an exhibition match. And we find out here that Leon is actually the older brother of Hop. And that's interesting to find out that the rival of the main character is actually the younger brother of the champion, and undefeated by that. Oh look, there's tall grass. No wandering into that tall grass for you if you've got no Pokemon of your own, mate. So I guess we won't be able to go through the tall grass until we get our first Pokemon. So let's just head on over to where we need to go. So this next area is Wedgehurst. And here is Leon. We've met him before, and he has that particular hand signal that he does. Very interesting. And he has his Charizard. Okay, so now that that scene's over, we find ourselves back at Hop's house. And here we are presented with the three starters: the grass-type Pokemon Grookey, the fire-type Pokemon Scarbunny, and the water-type Pokemon Sobble. I've been able to find out about these starters initially through the various trailers that have popped up over the past few months, and really ever since their reveal, I've really liked the design of these three starters already. Some people have mixed feelings about what the starters look like, and I have not even been able to find out what the evolution lines are for all three. But really, look at all of these starters, they're so cute. Sabo is really a cutie right there. So I guess this is a chance for us to actually choose our starter already. Although I think I've made up my mind about which starter to choose, let's go through all three and try to see what the game has to say about them. So the first one that we have here is the grass-type Pokemon Grookey, and it's soothing like a nice long walk in the woods. So we won't be choosing Grookey. Maybe in another run I can choose Grookey. The next one is Scorbunny. Scorbunny is the fire type, and I have a feeling that this particular Pokemon's going to evolve again into another firefighting type. Why does it feel like there's always this tendency for fire type starters to end up as firefighting? So maybe not Scorbunny. And here we get to the last starter, the water type Sabo. It adapts to anything as surely as water flows. So I just have to say this already and be upfront, but Sabo is my spirit Pokemon. I connect and resonate with Sabo on a spiritual level. He's such a crybaby from trailers and from this initial opening showcasing the three starters over here. So let's give a nickname to Sabo. How about we go with Sadster. Sadster the Sabo. That's about right, right? Also, you find out what gender your starter is from this particular portion of naming the nickname, and we find out that the Sabo is a male. Usually, there is a chance for you to get a female starter. Around 12.5% of the time, starters should be female. Oh, look at that! The Sabo is so cute. So apparently Hop will be choosing Scorbunny, which means that the rival chooses the starter with the type disadvantage to your own. So that's very interesting. Usually rivals from earlier generations choose a starter that is stronger in terms of typing than your own. I think there were some situations wherein the starters of the rival and yourself actually get some sort of type disadvantage and advantage switched because of the additional typing that these starters get over time with their evolutions. So it's very interesting to see this sort of trend. Last generation, I do believe that Hao from the Sun and Moon series actually also chooses a particular starter that is weaker in terms of typing than your own. So now we get this scene. We are having a little bit of a barbecue at the backyard of Hop's house. And look at those skewers. So now it's the next day. We spent a whole night with our partner. And we may have even built up a little bit of love with our starter Pokemon. So I guess it's time now to finally get into our first Pokemon battle. And it's against our rival Hop. Okay, sure, let's take on Hop for this first Pokemon battle. Let's bring Sadster along and let's get through this. Hopefully this first battle is not as hard. I remember a couple of generations ago, these starter battles are so insanely difficult. Primarily because of the type disadvantage that you get against your opposing rival. So here we go. We're challenged by Pokemon Trainer Hop. And if you'll notice, Hop has 2 Pokemon. Isn't that weird? I can't believe Hop has 2 Pokemon. So he has this Wooloo, level 3. Let's take a look at the interface of the battling system. Seems quite standard fare so far. We have the possibility for getting information with the Y button. You can see your opposing Pokemon and then your own Pokemon as well. We have the fight button, which gives us our moves. And we get some interesting information about what moves we have. For starter Pokemon, usually you do start with the normal type move, in this case Pound, and then a status move of some sort, in this case Growl. You can also switch Pokemon if we had more Pokemon. We have our bag, which holds our items. So far we just have 3 potions. And the capacity to run. Of course, you can't run away against opposing trainers. So for now, let's just try to see what things are happening here in the battle system. Let's use Growl just to lower the attack of the opposing Wooloo. And then we'll continue to just pound the Wooloo to submission. So my guess is that it takes around maybe 3 pounds before we get this Wooloo down. But it hits a bit hard. If this is the case, then we might not even be able to survive the next battle against the opposing starter. We get 55 experience and we level up. That's good. It's always good to level up. And we learn Water Gun, which is very good. Water Gun is a water type move, which means that we will be able to actually have same type attack bonus. Stab is a 50% damage boost of an attack when it is the same type as one of the types of the Pokemon that is using the attack. So this results in a 50% increase in damage. So in this case, Sadster will be able to actually use Water Gun and get a 50% increase in damage. At the same time, however, since the opposing Pokemon Scorbunny is a fire type, then if you actually use Water Gun on it, there's actually the super effective attack. With type advantage, you'll be able to actually do 2 times the damage. So with 2 times the damage plus stab bonus, then we'll be actually having this particular fight rather easy. And the Scorbunny fainted. We gain some experience, plus 55, and we level up again. So the introductory battle wasn't hard at all. It was rather straightforward. And we won. Leon asks us to be a real rival to Hop. I'll definitely try to be as real of a rival as I could. So now they're talking about Pokemon gyms, and this is interesting because it seems like the gym challenge is back. In last generation, we had the gym system replaced with the island challenge and the trials, and it was a nice change of pace, but I do prefer the more traditional gym challenges, getting some gym badges. I wonder how many gyms there are in the game. So now I guess our next goal a bit later will be to get our Pokédex as well. Oh, and it seems that the gate has been opened by that Wooloo a while ago. So, are we following the Wooloo? I guess we are. Can we do anything else first? The slumbering wheel is over this way. Let's go find that Wooloo. So I'm guessing there's no other way except to follow Hop and the Wooloo. So I'll try to check out the other aspects of this menu that we have. We have our Pokemon over here. I really like the design of the menu. It looks really clean. We have our bag, and I'm guessing we have all of our items here. We even have access to our key items. Oh, an adventure guide. Can you use this guide? Oh, we have an adventure guide which has some of the tips, I guess, that you get along the way. And we have a fishing rod already. This is an interesting change wherein we already have access to a rod as early as now. We have our town map. And it seems like Rotom is back. I wonder when we'll get introduced to this Rotom. Is the Rotom some sort of Pokemon that we have? And of course we have the options here. We can also save our game. And since I turned off the autosave feature. Oh, we haven't changed the options yet. Oh, my bad. I already suggested this a while ago, but we have to turn these off. Let's confirm and save these settings. And then of course save our game. Again, you can never save too much. But I'd rather save too much on my own than to save too much by autosave. So I guess for now this is a wrap for our video. I was able to introduce ourselves to some sort of initial run-through of Pokemon Shield, and I hope that you get to start your runs as well. I'll definitely be following up this video along the way as we try to head on out and get some more Pokemon, get through the gym challenges, maybe able to finish the game over the course of the next few weeks. And I'm really excited to train new Pokemon, and maybe at some point we can start doing some competitive battling as well. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe here in Sultai Gaming. And I do videos for Pokemon and Ep.7 and other games as well. And hopefully you can follow along as I journey through the Galarian Chronicles and the adventure that I'm going to be having here in Pokemon Shield. So once again, thank you very much, and see you on the next episode of Galarian Chronicles. Bye!